We are counting down Georgia's top returning Bulldogs according to PFF grades. That's Brent Rollins. I'm Dayne Young. We co-author Film Don't Lie over at ugasports.com. We also talk about the YouTube page as well, and that's something that you definitely need to be checking out. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. This is what it looks like. I'm assuming if you found this video, you made it here some way. We're the most popular YouTube channel for Georgia Bulldogs content out there, and we're running up the score. So go check out all the stuff we have. Georgia's baseball season coming to an end, a lot of recruiting content, and then you see things like our previous series with Arik Gilbert, Dan Jackson, Sedrick Van Pran, and Javon Bullard. Go check those out over at our YouTube page. Brent, we're talking about a guy today, number 19 on the list according to PFF grades, and we should remind people this is not a ranking of what we think our opinions of who Georgia's best players returning are. What this is, and you can explain this better than I can, Pro Football Focus has its grades that it does for every play, every snap for the entire college football season. And so when all that data came together, it produces this number of their overall grade. We're going based off that list. Again, this is not a personal approval or denial or whatever. It's their list.
Just a way of organizing it. And I think one of the things in particular, this player that we're about to look at, you're going to see, and there you go, number 19, Mr. Darnell Washington. We're going to see how the PFF grade kind of takes into, it's an execution grade in essence, and it's taking into account individual play no matter the result of the play. And that's the second one that we're going to see with Darnell. But I think in general, this is an interesting sort of section of our list. I'm a former five-star recruit with Darnell. But we had Dan Jackson, Bullard, Gilbert, and then I even forget Sedrick Van Pran.
Yep.
But this next section, these next four players that we're going to look at coming up is I could see these guys being drafted ahead of a lot of other players section. One in particular that we're going to look at. But, Darnell is one of those guys who, when he came to Georgia as a five-star recruit, you're like, oh my goodness gracious, is a human really that big? And seeing him in person, he is really that big. He's a different level of human being.
Out of high school, Las Vegas, Nevada, 6'7". This says in high school, 255. I don't believe it.
I would say 6'7", 6'8"-ish, more like 285, 280 right now.
Well, and one of the first things you told me when we had a conversation about Darnell Washington, and this is very early in our Film Don't Lie days, like when we were looking at recruiting stuff, I think, you said, this guy could be a left tackle and be an amazing one if that's what he wanted to do. If
he really wanted to be a first-round left tackle, I think he could be. And it's one of those things where, there's value for what he does and there's value for his skill set, and he actually has a lot more skill set than we've probably even seen with what he's done. But in terms of long-term potential and the ability, I could see him 100% being an NFL-level left tackle.
On the official roster, he is listed up to 265 now. Again, I think it's probably a little bit on the light side for him. Career high was 3 catches in a game that came in the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati. Not necessarily the big play threat, I think, but when you start looking at red zone and size and really just some stuff across the middle, and then you start thinking about, well, what can Georgia do with this guy and Brock Bowers and Arik Gilbert? Then things get really interesting if you're Todd Monken, I think.
Yes, very much so. And I think he's going to, given Gilbert being there and his presence as a more receiving threat at the tight end position, you're going to see, I think, Washington actually be on the field more than he's been as that Fitzpatrick previous role, Charlie Warner role, where he's the main blocking guy and the others are the true receiving weapons. But the thing with him is, you've just, to me, given all that he does for your offense, you got to get him at least 2 targets a game. And we're going to see some of these as we start looking at plays and talking numbers.
Yeah. So we started full screen here. We mentioned, Alabama, and what Georgia's done against them. Here's Mr. Darnell.
I was just ecstatic, happy for the kid on this play, because it's one of these things where we've always known and discussed, hey, it's an option just to throw it up to the biggest human being on the field and let him go dunk on someone. And he straight up did on Toa Toa right here.
I mean, this is nothing more than a little kind of alley-oop style. Let's see what happens in basketball.
And the beautiful part about, at least for this one, is that you think back, he's not really, like, from a target perspective, he's been targeted 27 times in his career. I think two, at least this one, and then last year against Alabama, or not last year, but 2 years ago in 20, Stetson missed him wide open. He was wide open in the back of the end zone, and he was missed. So he could have got his first touchdown there, but he gets his first and only career touchdown catch in the SEC championship game. And hopefully we just see more of this because he can do it.
Okay, would you say he's open right here?
As an offensive coordinator, yes.
Because of his height, right?
Yes, because of the ability to get up and the size disadvantage that he's always going to put someone in. Like, he just get out of my way, dunk on you.
Now, this is what gets you excited, I think, especially if you're Del McGee.
Yeah, and this is where if you look at a play and its result, don't think about the result. And this is where PFF grading, hey, Darnell actually, this is one of his highest graded plays because of he executes his job to the fullest on this one. I think it's bumper pool maybe that he decides to, toe tag and bring the thunder to. I mean, it's just there's a definite head snap there. Yeah. There's a definite head snap there. Don't watch Sawyer. Don't watch Jamari Sawyer on this play. Only watch Darnell. And this is what I mean. He in essence, especially in that position, is a sixth offensive lineman. And that ability and the ability to bring him across, running split zone, running sort of some insert ISOs like they kind of are here. That's a next level thing to your offense that other teams just don't have. They don't have someone that is that size.
You said don't look at Sawyer, but I think that brings up a good point. Again, kind of what PFF looks at. This is not a successful play for Georgia, but it ain't because of Darnell Washington. Like, he did his job, and so when coaches look at film, they look at it kind of in an individual nature. Did you help your team succeed? Well, obviously not everyone did on this play, but Darnell did.
Yep, very much so, and just absolute. Get some. He's, I think, in terms of run block grade, and a couple of things with him as a run blocker. 56% of his career snaps as a run blocker, not necessarily going out into routes. And then two, he's a top 25 returning tight end in terms of run block grade, like in the entire FBS returning tight end. So it's a threat. He's a weapon, even if he's not in the traditional sense as a receiver. He is 100% a weapon for the offense and what it's going to allow Georgia's offense to do this year.
And at his size and his potential for NFL, he needs to make it his goal this year to be top 5 on that list in the country. There's no reason not to be, if he's healthy. Yes,
I agree. He's now had 2 straight years. He missed this offseason with a foot injury. And to me, him missing the spring was a blessing in disguise because, one, it got Gilbert, and we talked about this when we talked about Gilbert, but it got him infinite number of reps where he had to be a tight end. It's like, hey, you're not a receiver. You're a tight end now for us. And he got crazy number of reps. So that sort of thing. But then also, what Darnell can do. He doesn't need to go beat on people in practice and get something maybe hurt that's going to really ruin the season or push him back. You know what he's going to do? All right, show up, get in shape, and be ready to go fall camp.
All right, here he is against Auburn. Top of the screen here at the offensive line.
And we've shown the year before in 2020, it was way worse. But they did a much better job in 21, and Stetson particularly, of finding him over the middle of the field. It's hard to miss the biggest human on the field. And Georgia so often did in 20. But, you see the skill here as a receiver. Soft hands, catch, tuck, turn, go make a few guys miss. He's actually forced 9 missed tackles in his career. A lot of that was on one play against Cincinnati, but still yet his ability as a receiver, and even in the national championship game, the catch he had sort of when Georgia was backed up, it was a quick hitch that, where he had to sort of low and truly use his hands. He has great hands. He has, I think, 3 drops in his 27 career targets, but it's more of a contested catch kind of thing. If it's there, he's going to catch the football.
You know what I think is the most impressive thing on this play, and I'll take it back to the snap, is how he is accelerating off the line of scrimmage because there's not many people his size that can do this. Like this guy's a power forward in the NBA at his size. Like he's the size of LeBron James and he's the tight end in the SEC, right? So that's pretty good get off the line of scrimmage to get his body moving in one direction.
Yep. And when you think about him going in one direction, is he going to be that, sort of option route tight end guy where it's chop and then go right or left? No, that's not his forte. It's not going to be his forte. But fast get open quick over the middle of the field and be an absolutely huge target. Yes, he can.
Funny
do that.
enough, there were rumors of like would he transfer to go to a place that maybe he would get a little more playing time. The RPO system probably fits his receiving game as much as he doesn't need to be in an offense that's drop back passing, quarterback trying to stay back there for 4 seconds. That's just not going to work for him.
No, and it's one of those things where no matter where he goes, they're going to look at him and see what he can do physically and be like, all right, you're going to block a lot of people.
Yeah, because we don't have anyone like you.
We don't have humans like you, and especially any other team. And they're not going to use him. And I think Georgia is really the best place for him. And, it's the new tight end university for a reason. And their offense is now conducive to showing off that skill set. And we just Fitzpatrick had how many career catches and he just got drafted?
Yeah.
Darnell is that infinitely better as an athlete and a pass catcher. If he stays healthy, puts together a season where he does what he does in the run game, maybe even more so dominant, he's going to put himself into that middle round, even possibly upper middle round category from an NFL draft perspective.
I mean, I'd say body alone, even if he just repeats what he's done for the last 2 years. I mean, I think that's a second, third round pick.
Possible, yeah, 100%.
And then if he's spectacular, yeah, he could rise up to even high second or even first. Here we go against Kentucky. This is the one the drag route. I love to see this. Get him the ball in space because he's an athlete. 6'7", 280, whatever ish. A couple biscuits shy, 300, and doing what he just did right there. He's an impressive athlete. Well, and I mentioned the kind of get off at the line of scrimmage, but it's also impressive at his size that he can maneuver as smoothly as he does through a little bit of a mess right here and come out on the other side after the play fake.
Yes.
That's really clean.
Mm-hmm. And he stays low. I mean, he doesn't, instantly you think, 6'8" guys, they're going to come off the ball, get high quick. No, he stays low. And then, all right, now I'm going to get high and start accelerating, be ready to catch the ball and do something with it. I know I was standing down here kind of on about the 15-yard line when he caught this right in front of me. And that was fun to watch.
The other thing is, look, he gets through this and quickly gets his head turned around, makes the eye contact. So Stetson knows, all right, we're on the same page here.
Yeah, and that's with Stetson, and this is a part of the offense, the bootleg game. Hopefully you see more and more of it as they go forward this season.
Let's look at it one more time. Again, offensive coordinator's dream, especially with what Stetson does best. Perfect throw. I mean, 2nd and 13 deep in your own territory, not ideal. And look what Georgia turned it into.
Yep. Over 8 yards after the catch per reception in his career. So it's not like he's just getting it and getting hit at the ankles and done. No, he's actually making plays when he gets the ball.
We kind of touched on this, but we're at the point in this list that you start looking at it and you say, all right, for a lot of these returning Georgia Bulldogs, this is at this point, and we're recording this in June. At this point, you're looking at a 7-month job interview of if you do that 7 months really well, you're going to go make a lot of money from some NFL teams. Now, I know NIL, they're making money in college now, fine, whatever. I'm just saying that Darnell Washington is definitely one of those people. Do those 7 months to the best of your ability, you'll be good to go.
100%. And this is one player to me that in no way do I see him not putting his name in the NFL bucket, barring, something from an injury perspective or something that you cannot predict. But if he plays the entire season, plays as well as he has, even better as a run blocker, he's going to put his name in the hat. And at worst, I think he's a 4th, 5th round guy just as that second tight end elite run blocker.
Was at number 19 on our list, and that means that we have 18 more to go. We'll be doing this really all summer long, and then we'll be doing these 2 at a time over at ugasports.com until we get to the top 5. Then we'll break it down probably a little bit more depth, throw a few more plays in there for each of those guys. But just give you a taste. If you're new to Georgia, if you've been around our YouTube page, you shouldn't be, but maybe remind you of who's all on the team here. And Darnell Washington's one that I think is a fan favorite. And if anything, fans want to see him more incorporated into the offense. I'll just say this in watching the tape, just because he doesn't catch the ball doesn't mean he's not incorporated into the offense.
Yes.
I get it. Get him more touches because it's going to help your team. But at the same time, Georgia's run game is not what it has been without him.
12 targets last year. I want to see that doubled.
Yeah.
I'd like to see 2 a game in the regular season, right around 24, 25 targets.
Especially in the red zone. Get those red zone targets for him.
Especially in the red zone.
What do you do? How do you block that guy?
14 personnel. Throw it to the guy with the best matchup.
Is there could you have 5 tight ends out there in any scenario?
I mean,
without it being a formational penalty? I doubt it. I'll ask Coach Donnan. I'll see if he can draw it up.
Oh, you can definitely have it, but the personnel, like you got at least 4. You got at least, if you include the true freshman, if you include Delp, you got 4 that you can line up and just throw jump balls to.
Yeah, but Jalen Carter's got to be out there too. I get it.
He would be the 5th.
Yeah, there you go.
And he might have the best matchup.
He's definitely going to be the highest drafted, and we'll see him later on down on this list. Thanks for watching along with us and checking out the top returning Bulldogs for Brent Rollins. I'm Dayne Young. We'll see you next time for number 8.